under doesn't mean that
No
it's
porque
over.
usted siente que está debajo, quiere decir que
I mean,
se ha
because
acabado.
that's what we were experiencing last night.
Eso es lo que estamos experimentando anoche.
You know, because they were saying, Erica's not responding.
Están diciendo, Erika no está
She's breathing,
respondiendo.
but she's not
Está
responding.
respirando,
And they're
pero no
doing
está
all of these
respondiendo.
things.
Y están haciendo todo esto.
But later on, my wife came out.
Pero luego salió mi
And my
esposa.
wife said, we were talking to her.
Dice, estábamos hablando
She
con
was
ella.
intubated and was on a respirator.
Estaba en un respirador y entubada,
But they said that she can hear us.
pero ella nos puede
And so
escuchar.
they would speak to her and they said, squeeze her hand if you understand.
Y ella le hablaba y decía, aprieta la mano si nos
And so
entiendes.
she would do this,
Y ella lo hacía.
you know. And of course they did have to fly her over to Temple.
La llevaron a tiempo.
But even this morning I heard that there's some good news coming out of all of this.
En la mañana
You know,
nos
her-
dio buenas noticias.
Oh, she's off of the respirator over there. I'm telling you, it was scary. It was scary. But, you know, like I said, it seems like, God, where are you in all of this?
Parece que uno dice, Señor, ¿dónde estás en todo esto?
God is giving everybody a new level of hope.
Dios está dando un nivel de esperanza.
And this is where the development and the cultivation of that seed
Y
begins
aquí es donde la semilla se cultiva
to work,
para trabajar.
like I said in Spanish, to brotar, to rise out, to rise up,
Sprout.
to sprout. Thank you, yes. Not forget my English. How often do we find ourselves looking every, was it last week before last? I
Hace
know,
unas semanas, yo sé.
when Fat Boy, okay? And he don't look fat, but that's what he said. Yeah, I'm
Así le
Fat Boy,
llaman.
okay? When little Freddie was laying out there in the middle of, was it Paul Tyson Field? No, it was another field, okay, over here. He was sitting over there and he didn't have no
Estaba en
feeling
el
waist
campo de
down.
fútbol y no tenía ningún
being bent
movimiento de la
backwards.
cintura abajo.
You know, these parents over here, I know,
Estos padres,
I
yo
saw the
sé,
tears, I saw
yo
the tears.
sé que vi sus
You know,
lágrimas,
but then through all of that,
pero luego a través de todo esto,
you know, the faith in the God that works, and then seeing God begin to work
la
in his life.
fe y ver cómo Dios se
And then,
movió
and then on top of that, seeing the family.
y luego ver la
And
familia,
I'm not talking blood family, I'm talking about Viento Fuerte family, their
ver la
family.
familia del viento
They're
fuerte.
showing up from all over the place.
Estaban viendo, se estaban presentando
And,
de
and,
todos
and,
lados.
and when you see that, it's kind of like, okay, we got it. We're coming out.
Y
Okay,
cuando
and I'm
se
not talking
pasa
about out
esto,
of no
dicen todos,
closet.
ok,
all right?
esto lo
I'm
vamos a
talking about
hacer.
out of the ground.
Vamos a
From
salir.
what is supposed to be things that has us buried. But let me tell you, we need some dirt on us every now and then.
A veces necesitamos un poco de tierra.
Because see, a seed does not grow without the dirt.
Una semilla no crece sin la
That's
tierra.
another sermon we'll talk
Ese es
about
otro
later.
sermón.
So I want you to turn to Psalms 1, the first Psalm, page 1, chapter 1.
Primero Salmos, el primer capítulo,
Verse 3,
versículo 3.
okay? And it says this, He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that brings forth its fruit in its season, whose leaf also shall not wither, and whatever he does shall prosper. Ese hombre es como un árbol plantado junto a los arroyos. Llegado el momento, da su fruto y sus hojas no se marchitan. En todo lo que hace, prosperará. Aquí dice prosperar. Prosperará. Okay? Will prosper. It sounds awesome, don't it?
Yes.
It's a blessing.
Yes.
Es una bendición.
But that's the result of being planted.
Pero ese es el resultado de ser plantado.
You know, when it comes to planting,
Cuando uno planta, siembra,
you got to have a seed.
tienes que tener una semilla.
It doesn't do anything
No hace nada
until it gets planted,
hasta que lo siembra,
until the dirt comes on it.
hasta que la tierra le cae.
There may be a few seeds, very, very few, where you don't need the dirt for it to sprout.
Hay muy pocas veces
But
que
it
una
needs to be
semilla
covered
puede
with
brotar
something.
sin la tierra.
It needs to be covered with something. I mean, you
Pero
just leave a
necesita
seed
que
out.
ser cubierto con algo.
You just leave a seed out there and it's not going to do
Si
anything.
usted nomás deja así la semilla, no va a hacer nada.
When it comes to planting,
Cuando se trata de
you do
sembrar,
start with a seed.
usted empieza con una semilla.
You know, and so there's some steps to the growth of that seed.
Hay pasos para que crezca esta semilla.
First, the planting, it has to be covered up.
Primeramente tiene que estar cubierto,
Then it takes time,
luego se lleva tiempo
and then after that comes the harvest.
y luego viene la cosecha.
You know, and this goes with what I want to talk about, and really we're going to be looking at not just the third verse of Psalm,
Y no solo vamos a
Of
ver el
chapter
versículo 3 del capítulo
but we're actually
1.
going to talk about all three verses.
Vamos a hablar de 3 versículos.
Okay? Because in the first verse,
El primero
we find out what it is to be planted.
nos dice que es estar sembrado.
Number two, or verse number two, it's there where we're going to find out the time it takes.
El versículo número 2 dice el tiempo que
And
se
then
toma.
what we got to reading just now, number
Lo que
three,
acabamos de leer,
verse
el número 3.
that's where the harvest comes,
Y aquí es donde viene la
where the
cosecha,
blessing comes.
donde viene la bendición.
So with this right here, I would ask you,
So, con esto yo les pregunto,
where are you at in this process?
¿en qué etapa estás de este proceso?
Are you in the planting stage?
¿Estás apenas estás plantado?
Are you in that time of waiting?
¿Estás en el tiempo de espera?
Or are you in that time of harvest?
¿O estás en el tiempo de la cosecha?
See, the seed itself isn't swaying or moving
La semilla no, en sí misma no se está moviendo
during the time that it's planted.
durante el tiempo que está plantada.
Has anybody decided, you plant, I don't know how many, I think almost everybody here has.
No sé
If
quién
you
ha
haven't, you will at one day or another
plantado
with your kids.
o con tus hijos.
You'll get a little cup. In my days, it was a little milk carton, okay? And we would get the milk carton and we would plant 2 or 3 beans in there.
Y a veces ponían 2 o
I
3
got done that. I
frijoles
did. I mean, and then you'd put it in the window and you'd
y lo
water it.
pones en la ventana y le
And
echas
that
agua.
bean would come up.
Y ese frijol salía.
I experienced it.
Yo lo experimenté.
I just saw it would happen with my grandkids.
Y acaba de suceder con mis nietos.
But that seed, once you put that bean in there,
Esa semilla cuando pones ese frijol.
do you know of anybody that would go back in and say, I don't want that seed right there, I'll pull it out, pull it over
Y
here.
conoce a alguien que dice, no, yo no quiero así la semilla, la quiero de otra
Okay, I
manera.
think Kika has done that before.
¿Y qué ha hecho eso?
Or I don't want that seed there, and then the seed will never grow
Nunca va a
because
crecer.
the
esa
the
semilla,
roots won't take, the roots won't,
porque las raíces
won't take.
no van a tomar,
okay? They're gonna, it won't happen.
no va a suceder.
And sometimes God, and let me tell you this, God has planted us in different
Y
places of
Dios
our
nos ha
lives.
sembrado en diferentes lugares.
And
en
if you're
nuestras vidas.
trying to fix things on your own, saying, I
Y
don't
si
want to be
estás
here,
tratando de componer
I
las
don't want to be
cosas
here, I don't
de
want to
tu
be here,
manera y
and
decir,
everything
"No quiero estar aquí",
continues.
y todo continúa.
And you're thinking, God, where are you in all of
Estás
this?
pensando, Dios, ¿dónde estás? en todo
And we're blaming Him when it's only us that are
Y le
doing all the
estamos
moving.
echando la culpa
We're
a
trying
él.
to do what God is saying. Just stop.
Y Dios te está diciendo, para.
So Psalms
Salmos 1,
chapter 1 and 2. Let's read this.
el verso 1 y 2.
Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the path of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law he meditates day and night. Bienaventurado el hombre que no anda según el consejo de los impíos, ni se detiene en el camino de los pescadores, ni se sienta en la silla de los burladores, más bien en la ley del Señor está su delicia. A tree doesn't grow overnight.
Un árbol no crece de la noche para ese árbol.
You want to grow.
Tú quieres
Everybody
crecer.
here needs to grow.
Todos tenemos que crecer,
But you got to be planted
pero tienes que estar plantado
and you got to be prepared.
y tienes que estar preparado.
You ever been set to do something and halfway through it you find out that, how did I get here?
Un día has planificado algo y lo dices.
What is
¿Cuándo
happening?
llegué aquí? ¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué sucedió?
It happens to a lot of people that just get married.
Sucede a muchos, solo se casan.
Remember when we first got engaged?
Cuando al principio
Or
se comprometieron,
when you just knew this was the right person.
tú sabías que esta era la persona correcta.
And in your mind,
Y en su mente,
you thought of unlimited walks on the beach.
y tú decías, caminadas en la playa ilimitadas.
Of course, here in Waco is not much of a beach,
Y
but
aquí en Hueco no hay playa.
in the park,
En el parque,
romantic walks.
románticas caminadas.
And get to spend unlimited nights talking all night.
Y platicando toda la noche.
Because marriage is going to be
Porque el matrimonio
awesome.
va a ser asombroso.
Because she understands me.
Porque ella me entiende.
He understands me.
Él me entiende.
She's got an awesome family.
Ella tiene su familia maravillosa.
Unlimited sex.
El sexo ilimitado.
People believe this, okay? And it's going to be all the time. And it's going to be great. And you know, there's nobody like her.
Y no hay nadie como ella.
Marriage. I'm talking about marriage, okay?
Estoy hablando del matrimonio.
But then,
Pero luego,
6 to 8 months in,
6 a 8 meses,
you know, you've heard of the honeymoon is over.
cuando dice la luna de miel ya se acabó,
That's because you find out you got to give more of yourself than you thought you were going to give.
porque luego te enteras que tienes que dar más de ti mismo
A
de lo que
husband sometimes
pensabas.
doesn't get to finish his food,
A veces el esposo no acaba su
or he's
comida
got to share all of his food
o tiene que compartir
because
toda su comida.
mama decided she didn't like what she ordered, so she wants
Porque
yours.
su esposa no le gustó lo que ordenó, so te quita la tuya.
Man, I see some elbows going around here. And then when the kids come,
Y luego cuando llegan los hijos,
when the kids come, it's kind of like, I can't wait. This is going to be my son.
este va a ser
And
mi
when they
hijo.
got him the first 3 or 4 days, it's kind of like,
Después de los 3,
look at my
4
baby.
Mira mi baby.
And I'll change the diaper.
Yo voy a cambiar
I
los
got the
pañales.
diaper bit. Up until it comes around 2 o'clock on the 4th day.
Hasta cuando son
In
como
the
las
morning.
2 de la mañana.
And it's
Los
kind of
4
like,
días.
Mama, I've been waking up every morning at 2
Y
o'clock to
yo me he
change
estado
it.
levantando
It
todas
may
las
be your
mañanas
time.
a las 2 de la mañana, te toca a ti.
And Mama says, I've been taking care of him all day long.
Y
You
yo le
better
dice
get
la
up.
mamá, yo lo he estado cuidando todo el día.
You know, and it's those times that somebody starts thinking, how did I get here?
Y son esos tiempos que piensas, ¿y cómo llegué aquí?
Preparation.
Preparación.
So this is a side note, okay?
Entonces es una
For
nota.
those that are going to get married,
Para los que se van a casar,
that's why we tell you, and we're going to be marrying you. That's why we say
sí,
we
por
need
eso
some,
te vamos a
we
casar,
need
te
to take you through
decimos.
some counseling because this is what you're going to
Te
go
damos
through.
consejería porque te decimos, esto es lo que va a
And I
suceder.
know that some have said, not us.
Y muchos dicen, nosotros no.
Surprise.
Y luego, sorpresa.
But that's where the vows come into
Pero
play.
aquí es donde vienen los votos que uno hace.
I do doesn't just mean I do for that moment.
Cuando dice yo acepto,
It's-
no es nomás por ese
I do
momento.
from now on.
Es de aquí al resto
Okay.
de la vida.
All right, that's still another message there.
Es otro mensaje.
But you come in and you're not expecting what it is.
Y luego entras y no estás esperando lo que estás.
See, when you're planted, you know everything's going to get
Cuando
better.
estás plantado, sabes que todo se va a
I mean, a
mejorar.
farmer, when they start out there planting and moving the ground,
Cuando comiencen a mover el
they have a vision of what's going to happen.
tienen una visión de lo que va a suceder.
And you can't lose that vision in this
Y no puedes
process.
perder la visión en este proceso.
I'm planted despite what's over me
Estoy plantado a pesar de lo que está arriba.
or what I'm under, but because I'm under doesn't mean it's over.
O porque estoy debajo no quiere decir que ya se acabó.
So these first two verses,
Estos primeros dos versos
they're do nots.
son no hagas.
Okay? In preparation, in being
preparación.
planted,
Para
we
estar
have
plantado
to apply these three do nots.
tenemos que aplicar estos no hagas.
Okay? Because it says, and let's go back over here. It says, blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the ungodly. Blessed is the man who does not stand in the path of sinners. Blessed is the man that does not sit in the seat of the scornful. Bien,
Oh,
you got it? Bienaventurado el hombre que no anda según el consejo de los impíos, que no se detiene en el camino de los pecadores y que no se sienta en las sillas de los burladores. Okay? Three things, and we're going to talk about these three
tres
things right now.
cosas.
I don't want to take a whole lot of time before all my time goes away here. Three do nots
Tres no hagas
for healthy growth.
para que crezcas.
Número uno. Number one, do not walk where you shouldn't.
No andes donde no debes.
Okay? So where are you walking?
Donde caminas.
You know, a long time ago, and I apply this first verse to my life.
Ese primer verso yo lo aplico a mi vida.
Because I was sharing it with this one man once.
Porque yo lo compartía con un hombre.
And I was telling him, I said, I wish I had a testimony like these other
Y
guys
le
that,
decía, yo quisiera tener un testimonio como
that
esos
in their
otros,
past they were all crazy.
que en su pasado
And
estaban
God did a
locos.
supernatural act
Y
on their
Dios
lives.
supernatural.
And now they can stand and they say, I can relate to
Y ahora ellos pueden pararse y decir,
the
"Puedo
life of this guy that's
relacionarme a la
been
vida que tiene
in
este,
drugs, have been jailed,
que hizo drogas,
and
que
then he
estuvo
got
en la
set
cárcel,
free.
luego lo
And
soltaron,
another one that was addicted to this and
Luego
that,
estaba
and he
adictado
was
a
set
esto.
free.
y luego Dios lo liberó.
And this pastor told me, he said, Tom,
Y este pastor me dijo, Tom,
you have a testimony.
tú tienes un testimonio.
Apply Psalm 1:1 to your life.
Aplica Salmo 1:1.
If you haven't lived like everybody else,
Si no has vivido como los demás,
you are blessed beyond what you know.
tú eres bendecido más de lo que tú sabes.
He said, because you haven't.
Pero porque no has sido,
You haven't been there.
no has estado allí,
You haven't walked in the counsel of the ungodly.
no has caminado en los caminos de los malos,
You haven't stood in that path
no te has parado
of
en
the
la brecha
sinners. And you haven't sat with the scornful.
y no te has sentado en las
If you
sillas
haven't
de
done those things,
escarnecedores.
you're blessed beyond what these other guys have been
Tú
doing.
eres
And
bendecido
fortunate.
y afortunado.
So walking where you shouldn't.
Caminando donde no debes.
Ask yourself,
Pregúntate,
how and where am I walking?
¿dónde y a dónde estoy caminando?
Well, all my Facebook posts, they have scripture on them.
En mis posts de Facebook tengo escrituras.
And I call everybody brother.
Digo a todos hermanos
And I pray before I eat.
y oro antes de comer.
And I go to church at least once a week.
Y voy por lo menos una vez a la semana a la iglesia.
But here it says, who doesn't walk.
Pero dice, no ando en consejos
Yeah, the counsel.
de malos.
That wrong counseling.
Ese consejo malo.
But what counseling?
Pero ¿qué consejo?
See, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, Fox, all of these different
Todos estos canales de noticias,
news things, they're putting out, even Yahoo, man. Yahoo's gotten crazy too.
Y hasta
Okay, if
ya-
y'all don't see Yahoo News, man, it's messed up. But they're trying to give you
ellos
their
están tratando de
perspective
dar
and what
su
you should believe and what you
perspectiva de
should
lo que
think.
tú debes de creer y pensar.
Who's counseling your life and what
¿Quién
your
te está aconsejando tu vida?
how you think things should
Como
be?
tú piensas que deben de ser las cosas.
You've got to know who's counseling you.
Tienes que saber
Who's
quién te está
speaking into your
aconsejando.
life?
¿Quién está hablando a tu vida?
How ungodly is it?
¿Qué tan
And I'm telling you, they're out there.
ella está allí?
And I've seen, I mean, there's churches, man, they believe some ungodly stuff now.
Y hay iglesias que creen cosas que no son de Dios.
You have to understand, where's your
Tienes que
counsel coming
entender
from?
dónde está tu consejo.
Who's counseling? Whose example are you following?
¿Qué ejemplos tú estás siguiendo?
See, your walk determines your growth.
Tu caminar determina tu crecimiento.
And it determines a lot of stuff in your life.
Determina muchas cosas en tu vida.
And I go back to social media here real quick.
Y regreso a los medios sociales.
Because you see pictures of people.
Miras fotos de la
Because
gente
they're wanting to connect.
porque quieren conectarse.
But sometimes I think they want to connect the wrong way.
Pero a veces se conectan de la manera
You know,
equivocada.
you see all kind of pictures. Y'all know the pictures.
Ya saben ustedes las fotos.
You know, you get those selfies and everybody
Those
has the
selfies.
duck lips.
Y todos tienen sus labios
You know,
así.
and then they take the picture from up here.
Y luego se lo toman de así.
That way they look thinner.
Y así se miran más delgados.
And then they look from sideways. And
Y luego miran a un
I know
lado.
I've looked at myself doing it and I thought, oh man, come on.
Y yo me he visto haciendo
I
eso.
can't make myself look any thinner.
Ya no puedo hacerme ver más delgado.
But I've known people that have been so what's the word? They've been tricked into believing somebody is really awesome.
Y hay mucha gente que se cree que esta persona
And this
es
one lady that I
asombrosa.
knew,
Una señora que yo
she
conocía
ended up connecting with somebody because of the pictures she had sent of herself.
se conectó por la foto que
He
mandó.
paid for her to go to Florida
Él pagó para que ella fuera a
to meet
Florida
him. And he took her out to eat somewhere,
y la llevó a comer,
picking her up at the airport.
la levantó en el aeropuerto.
He said, I'll be back.
Dijo, yo voy a regresar.
And he never came back.
Ya nunca regresó.
And she didn't have a way to get back home.
Y ya no tenía manera de cómo regresar.
Your counsel and who you listen to
Consejo y a quién
is
escuchas.
going to come back on you.
Te va,
You need to listen. You need to
tienes que
understand
escuchar, tienes que
who is
entender.
speaking into your
¿Quién
life.
está hablando en tu vida?
Oh man, I can go more on this. But Isaiah 9:6, let me show you this.
Isaías 9:6.
Isaiah 9:6, for unto us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Porque nos ha nacido un niño, se nos ha concedido un hijo. La soberanía reposará sobre sus hombros y se le darán estos nombres: Consejero admirable, Dios fuerte, Padre eterno, Príncipe de paz. Wonderful Counselor. And then it ends with Prince of Peace.
Príncipe de paz.
When we have Christ as our counselor,
Cuando tenemos a Cristo como
you
nuestro
can understand
consejero,
that
podemos
the fruit
entender el fruto
of that wonderful counselor is peace in
de
your
ese
life.
maravilloso es paz.
And I think a lot of us have been under situations where we didn't have the peace.
Y yo creo que muchos hemos estado en situaciones donde no teníamos paz.
And that's when we need to start examining
Y es
where
donde
is our
nos tenemos
counsel
que
coming from.
comenzar a examinar quién es nuestro consejo.
Number 2,
Número 2.
okay? We talked about where you walk. Now, number 2 is
Donde caminas,
where you stand
donde te paras,
in the path of sinners.
en camino de pecador.
There's words that we look here and we automatically know what a path is, right?
Y todos sabemos lo que es
I
un
mean, it's a little
camino.
way that you walk.
Es donde caminas.
Our dog, Pelon.
El perro pelón.
Okay. My dog, Pelon. Okay.
Su perro pelón.
All right. I love this dog. I mean, I don't, not that I think I'll cry because when he's gone, but
Ama ese perro.
he's
pero
just a good dog.
Él es un buen perro.
When I tell him sit, he sits.
Cuando yo le digo siéntate,
When
se
I tell him
sienta.
come, he comes.
Cuando dices ven,
I can
ven.
open the gate and he doesn't go running off.
Él abre la cerca y no se va
He just wants to
corriendo.
be around me.
Él le encanta estar junto a mí.
Pelon has a path from one corner of the front fence
De un lado de la cerca
all the way to the opposite side,
hasta el otro lado.
and you can see it.
Y usted lo puede ver.
How does that path get like that? Y'all know what
¿Cómo
I'm
se
talking
pone
about?
así este camino?
You know, in the grass,
En
a
los
grassy
zacates
area, there's a path.
hay un camino.
How can you tell that it's a path?
¿Cómo puedes saber que es un camino?
It's worn, right? Why does it get worn?
¿Por qué se ve que está usado?
Because it's continual walking through
Porque
that area,
camina
right?
continuamente por ahí.
Well, this is what's happening right here. The
Esto es
path
lo
of
que
a
está
sinner
sucediendo aquí.
is where it's constant sin.
Es el camino
And you're
donde es
standing in
constante el pecado.
And my thing was, you got to move out of the way
Y tienes que moverte
of that path.
de ese
Because if
camino.
you're wondering, why is my life the way it
Porque
is?
si usted está pensando por qué
Where are
mi vida
you
está como
standing?
está, ¿dónde está parado?
In my mind, I was thinking
En
of
mi mente yo estaba pensando
at the carnival, at the fair.
en la feria.
I didn't get to go this year, but
Yo
you
no
know,
fui este año.
they usually have these little BB gun things that you shoot,
Tienen esos juegos
and,
que
and, and
puedes
you got the standing still duck over there,
y
metal
tienes
duck,
un patito que está
and
parado
you shoot and you go, pow, ding. When you hit it, you hear the thing, right? And then you have another one that is just going back and forth.
y luego otro que solo nomás camina así.
And once you get a good aim at it, you can hit that old thing all the time.
Y cuando
Pow,
ya,
ding.
ya practicas lo puedes pegar
Pow, ding,
y le pegas.
pow, ding. Or if you're just standing there, ding.
O si no
Pow,
estás
ding.
parado y le pegas
Pow,
de frente.
We gotta move out of the way.
Hay que moverse.
You can't hit a moving target that's, now, granted, we go back to what I said just a while ago. Well, I'm moving.
O yo estoy moviendo.
I go to church every
Yo voy
once
a
a
la
week.
iglesia de vez en cuando.
I gave $5 last month.
Yo di $5 el mes pasado.
And if there's these little things that we say that we're doing, but how much is it really?
Y hay cosas que decimos que estamos haciendo, pero ¿qué tanto debemos
You gotta
hacer?
get all the way out of the way.
Tienes
get
que
off of
salir,
that path.
quitarte de ese paso, de ese camino.
You can't grow
No puedes crecer
if you're comfortable.
si estás cómodo.
Comfort and growth don't work together.
La comodidad y el crecimiento no van en mano,
But you better get out of the way where you're
pero
at.
tienes que moverte de donde
What are you
estás.
being covered with?
¿De qué te estás
Is it something that's giving you the nutrition
¿Qué
to
te
grow?
cubre?
Or are you planted supposedly on hard ground
¿Estás plantado en algo duro
or among rocks?
o en piedras?
Number 3,
Número 3.
don't sit where you shouldn't.
No te sientes donde no debes.
Okay. Number 1 was
Número 1 era
don't walk where you shouldn't.
no camines donde no
Number
debes.
2, don't stand where you shouldn't.
Número 2, no te pares.
And number
donde
3,
debes
it says
estar.
don't sit
No te sientes
where you shouldn't.
donde no debes.
Because if you're going to be blessed, you don't sit with the scornful.
Porque si vas a estar bendecido, no te sientas con los pecadores.
What is being scornful? Or a scoffer? In Spanish, burladores. Okay? Mockers.
Los que se burlan.
Don't be in the company of those that mock,
No estés con los
that
que se
are
burlan.
scoffing at the things of God.
Con los que se burlan de las cosas de Dios.
They judge others with sarcasm.
Que juzgan a otros con
They
burla.
ridicule.
Y los se burlan de ellos.
And I tell you, if you do it and I believe a lot of times we've been guilty of it, and I can tell you I have,
Y
Been
muchas veces
guilty.
hemos sido culpables de esto.
of sitting and thinking, I'm above these guys.
Y decir, yo estoy sobre esto.
Those people are so old, they don't even understand that,
Ya están tan viejitos que ellos no entienden.
that they need to change things. And
Ellos
yes,
tienen que cambiar unas cosas.
there's a lot of times that they do these things.
Hay muchas veces que ellos hacen estas cosas.
And the reason I say this
Y
is
la razón
because
que digo esto,
I've been guilty to sit back and just say, look at them.
yo he sido culpable de decir, mira,
And the
mira.
Holy Spirit has reminded me,
Y
who
el
do you
Espíritu
think you
Santo me
are?
recuerda, ¿y tú quién eres?
It's hard to change.
Es duro cambiar.
And those over 65 here say amen.
Los que están arriba de 65 años digan amén.
I know, I'll tell you. Even playing over here with these guys,
Hasta tocando con
you
ellos.
don't know how hard it is for
Ustedes
them.
no saben que es difícil
Once
para
I
mí.
get up here, it's kind of like, okay, I got this.
Cuando yo me pongo aquí, digo, ok, yo sé hacer esto.
But we can't sit back.
Pero no nomás nos
And
podemos
ridicule.
sentar.
And sometimes, I'll be honest with you, even those that are not of God, I mean,
Y hasta los que no son
how
de
can I
Dios.
say it? It's not for anybody in the church to look down on people.
Y no es por nada en la iglesia ver.
I'm grateful
cómo
that
saben.
we have ministry here that
Doy gracias a Dios
works
que tenemos ministerio
to minister to those that don't have anything.
que ministra a los que no tienen nada.
Stop planning yourself right now. Stop planning. Stop sitting among the weeds.
Y ya no se sienten entre las hierbas.
Matthew 7, 1 and 5.
Mateo 7.
Okay? And I'm going to read this. We're almost done here. Matthew 7, 1 through 5. It says, do not judge and criticize and condemn. Now I'm reading out of the Amplified. Do not judge and criticize and condemn. Condemn others unfairly with an attitude of self-righteousness, superiority, as though assuming the office of a judge, so that you will not be judged unfairly. For just as you hypocritically judge others when you are sinful and unrepentant, so will you be judged, and in accordance with your standard of measure used to pass out judgment, judgment will be measured to you. Why do you look at the insignificant speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice and acknowledge the log that is in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, let me get the speck out of your eye, when there's a log in your own eye? You hypocrite. A hypocrite is a play actor, a pretender. First get the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly, take the speck out of your brother's eye. No juzguen a los demás, a otros injustamente con la actitud de ser superior o egoísta, tomando el lugar de un juez. Y no serán juzgados injustamente, pues serán tratados de la misma forma en que traten a los demás, como hipócritas. El criterio que usan para juzgar a otros es el criterio con el que se les juzgará a ustedes. ¿Y por qué te preocupas por la estía, lo insignificante en el ojo de tu amigo, cuando tú tienes un tronco en el tuyo? And I really like this version. Me gustó esta versión. Okay, es una versión Reina Valera contemporánea, porque usó tronco. Yo creo que muchos pueden relacionar con lo que es un tronco. Okay,
And many of you can relate with what a trunk is.
for those that didn't understand what I'm talking about here, God is love. Okay,
Los que no entendieron, es amor.
I want to take the time to have you translate all of that. Cuando tú tienes el tronco en el tuyo, ¿cómo puedes pensar en decirle a tu amigo, déjame ayudarte a sacarle la astilla de tu ojo? Cuando tú puedes ver más allá del tronco que está en tu propio ojo. Hipócrita. ¿Cuál es un actor? Uno que pretende. Primero quita el tronco de tu ojo, después verás lo significante suficientemente bien para ocuparte de la espía en el ojo de tu amigo. In Genesis, let me tell you, in Genesis,
En Génesis,
God was walking through the garden.
Dios estaba caminando por el jardín
And he was saying,
y decía,
Adam,
Adán,
Adam,
Adán,
where are you?
¿dónde estás?
Now, to me, when I read this,
Cuando yo leo esto,
I'm reminded of playing hide and seek with Joshi.
me recuerdo cuando yo juego a las
Or
escondidas.
when
con
my
Josh,
when my kids were 4 and 5 years
o
old.
cuando mis hijos tenían 4 y
They
5
wanted to play
años.
hide and seek.
Ellos querían jugar las escondidas.
And they would say, Tata. Okay? I'm serious. All my kids, when they were little, they called me Tata.
Y todos me llamaban
Not just my
Tata cuando
grandkids
estaba
call me
chiquita.
Tata. Even my kids call me Tata. And they'd say, Tata, see if you can find me.
Decía, Tata, a ver si me puedes encontrar.
And so I'm walking around.
Yo estoy caminando.
Joshi, where are you at?
Joshi, ¿dónde estás?
Kike, where are you at? Tommy. That's what I used to call him when he was little.
Así le llamaban cuando estaban chicos.
Where are you at?
¿Dónde estás?
And I could see the little butt sticking out behind the sofa.
Y podía ver que estaban ellos allí.
And I'm walking over there, and they're like right here.
Y estoy
I'm saying,
caminando.
where are you at?
¿Dónde estás?
I can't find. Well, see,
No te
God
puedo
was,
encontrar.
this is what God was doing with Adam.
Y eso es lo que
Because
Dios estaba haciendo.
God knew
con
where
Adán.
Adam was.
Dios sabía dónde estaba Adán.
Adam, where are you at?
Adán, ¿dónde estás?
Where are you?
¿Dónde estás?
And he wasn't so much wanting an answer to that.
Y no solo quería una respuesta.
God was really telling Adam,
Dios le estaba diciendo a Adán,
Adam, where are you at?
¿dónde estás?
Look at yourself.
Mírate.
It's time that we begin to look at ourselves.
Es tiempo que empieces a
Where
ver
am I at?
dónde estás,
Where's my walk?
dónde está mi caminar,
Where am I standing?
dónde estoy parado
And who am I sitting with?
y con quién estoy sentado.
Because see, the planning process
Porque cuando te plantan,
is all determined by these three things.
todo es determinado por estas tres cosas.
Because when you go into verse 2,
Cuando vas al versículo 2,
this is where we see the time that is spent.
aquí es donde vemos el tiempo que pasamos
And I'll just, in the Word,
en la palabra,
in worship,
en adoración,
in prayer.
en oración.
That's it.
Y eso es todo.
To believe His Word
Creer su palabra
and apply it
y aplíquenla.
will get us to verse 3,
Nos va a llevar al verso 3,
the results.
los resultados.
Where are you at in your walk?
¿Dónde estás en tu caminar?
Where are you standing?
¿Dónde estás
And
parado?
where are you sitting
¿Y dónde estás sentado
in this planning process?
en este proceso?
You're planted, you're not buried.
Estás plantado, no enterrado.
Understand?
No se está